Hello, everyone. Please be forgiving as I know this video may skip and jump as I am trying to take out some of the ums and the uhs that I tend to say during recording. I want to get better at it, and I realize how much I do it, and it just seems like something I can try to be better at in the future. But I'm using software that removes some of these filler words. So please be gentle when it comes to critiquing this, as I am still in a learning process. Thanks. Hello, everyone. This is Dean with Angry Engine Games. Today we are doing our day 9 of the Shadowdark 365 challenge. Create a new asset every day for all of 2026. At the end, there should be at least 365 of these, maybe more if we throw in extra stuff as we go along. So let's go ahead. We pull this up randomly. So I'm going to go ahead and roll a random item, which you can see down here in the bottom left. You'll see Shadowdark 365. It's just a random generator that will pull up what we're making today. Out of the items that we usually make, these are the items in question that we usually pull from: monsters, spells, magic items, classes, NPCs, traps, map locations, dungeon rooms, area rumors, factions, and adventure hooks. So each of them have a weight after them. That's how many on it, what chance of that one coming up. So the ones with the higher numbers, like this dungeon rooms 116, map locations with 50, those have a better chance of coming up than something like classes, because classes only has a 10. So if you open them up, you'll see that the weight is also set to whatever number we pull up. So let's go ahead and pull up whatever random thing we're making today. Looks like we're making a monster. So this is a new monster, not something normally found in the Shadowdark book or any of the curse scrolls. So I have macros built for this. I'm going to go ahead and click on monster and see, maybe from the Shadowdark book, there are tables that you could pull up to give you some seeds on what you want to create. And let's pull up what it might be, and then we'll change it from there. So let's take a look. So it's a humanoid of some sort. Their strength is a blinding aura. Their weakness is to cold, and their hit die looks to be 7. So some kind of blinding aura, weakness to cold. So maybe this thing is something to do with fire, and maybe the fire burns so hot that it is blinding to everyone that is within a certain distance of it. Maybe everyone within near maybe gets disadvantage and on attack rolls against this thing, because just looking at it causes a blinding aura. So let's go ahead and let's create a character sheet for this thing, and we're just going to call this Bright Fire for now. We'll give it a better name down the road. All right, so Bright Fire. So let's go ahead and save this. We're going to open up a non-player character version. So we know this thing is going to be 7 hit dice. So let's go ahead and bring this up to 7. Typically, hit points are 4.5 per level. So you're looking at 9 for every 2. So that's what? 27, 31 would be its hit points for now. Depending on its con, it would give us more hit points if its con was higher or lower. So we want this thing to be a physical combatant, more of a controller, a skirmisher. But if this thing is made of fire, maybe not only a blinding aura, but maybe anything that touches it can take damage. Maybe that's what its attack is. Its attack is fire damage on anything it touches, almost like an elemental. So elemental could have came up. Maybe this could be akin to something like an Azer, which is in the Shadowdark book. Let's go ahead and pull up Shadowdark book, and see what we got for. All right, let's look up the Azer. It'd be similar. Oh, it didn't give me the right. Hold on. 190, and then go from there. All right, so the Azer, dwarves with bronze, they're fire immune. So maybe this thing is a tougher Azer, because an Azer is a dwarf with bronze metallic skin and flames in place of hair. gifted blacksmiths, but there's got to be stronger Azer. So maybe we can create something that doesn't have to be an Azer. It doesn't have to be lawful. Typical Azer is level 3. So we are making a level 7. So maybe this is a leader of some kind. We can make a better Azer if we wish to, or we might just go with something new entirely. So let's go ahead. I want to roll some stats for it. I just want to see maybe what it's good at, and then we can go from there. So let's. I'm going to pull up a stat macro here. If I can get to it here. Character stats. Where is it? Character stats. Here we go. Just put that on, and we're going to go ahead and roll that. I just want to see if it gives us anything that is high. It doesn't really. So let's go ahead and re-roll that. I just want to see if there's anything. Give us a little bit of seeds of where we want this thing to be. Let's give it another roll. So it's smart, maybe. Charismatic. Weakness to cold. Maybe we can make some kind of spell casting Azer. I like that. Let's go with that. So we're going to put the name of this thing is Azer Arcanist. So this is going to be a spell casting Azer. I like that. All right. So I think the typical Azers, it's a dwarf, so their strength is actually pretty good. But since this is more of a spellcaster, I'm going to give it only a +1 instead of a +3 like the typical Azer. Their con bonus is only a +1. We'll leave that as a 0. And their dex is a +0, but I'm going to give this guy a +1. Now, intelligence, I'm going to give it a +3. I want it to be smart. And maybe it's also got a +2 charisma. It's more of an intelligent Azer, more of a mental than physical. Now, its armor class is going to only be 11. Since it's more of a spellcaster, its armor class is not going to be great. But we're going to give this thing some abilities and some weaknesses. So, now typically Azer do not have, I'm going to give it the impervious fire immune, just as an Azer has. Now, remember, when we roll up stuff randomly, that is just a seed to build off of. Maybe these Arcanists, or maybe we can come up with a better name than Arcanist, maybe a Pyromancer or something like that. Or maybe, let's go with an Azer Pyromancer. Azer Pyromancer. So we're going to give him immune to fire. Now, remember, he has the blinding aura. So we can give him a spell that gives him blinding aura. So we can make it similar to the flare spell in the Curse Scrolls book. We could just call it blind. Let's take a look at typical spells and how they're done. It'll say like int spell, like the float spell from the Archmage. We're going to go ahead and we're just going to paste that in here. We're going to get rid of float. We're going to make this int spell, and then this is going to be near. DC, we're going to say 12. All right. And do they typically have focus? I don't think monsters typically have focus. I believe they're more of it lasts for a certain amount of time. I like it lasts for, I think 1d4 rounds would be good. The flare spell, I think, does that. So 1d4 rounds. Let's go ahead here and go. All creatures within near are blinded for 1d4 rounds. Let's go with blinding aura. All right. So this thing can basically cast a spell, blinding aura, that will blind anyone that is within near of the creature for 1d4 rounds if it makes its saving throw, or makes his attack or his spell roll. That's kind of powerful. It's very powerful, because then everyone within near is just going to be blind, and it's going to start wreaking havoc on everybody. Let's look at some other typical level 7s spellcasting type of creatures. Let's go here. Let's look. Going through the book. I don't know if... Okay, so I got a better way of doing this. So all creatures... All right, I'm going to pull this. I found the Druid. Near-sized cube extending from the Azer. Creatures within are blinded for 1d4 rounds. And then just delete the rest. Let's go ahead and see how this looks now. All right, DC... Let's go with DC 13 on this one. Blinding aura. Or our blinding flash, we'll just call this. Blinding flash, intelligence spell, near. Actually, it won't be near, it'll be close, because it actually doesn't say that at all. We can get rid of that, because it says all creatures, wait, all creatures, let's get rid of that too. Near size cube extending from the Azer Pyromancer, creatures within are blinded for 1d4 rounds. That is a good one there. Now, since this thing's a Pyromancer, I think it should have some ranged fire attack. I'm going to say that it's not even going to need to cast this. This is its attack, we'll say. We'll just call this a Firebolt. And it is level 7. So typically a level 7 creature, like a druid only gets a +0 because it's a spellcaster. But let me see, imbue, summon. Let's go to Archmage and see what Archmage can do. Archmage is a level 10. It has a Death Bolt. That's really Fire Blast. Right, that's a Fireball. You could do 2 spells, Archmage. So let's look up just Mage. Mage is level 6, so this thing's a little more powerful than a Mage. It has a Blast. It does a DC 12, far, 1 target. We can copy that, actually. So we can call it Fire Blast. Fire Blast. Intelligence spell, DC 12, far, 1 target, 2d6 damage. So, actually, we're going to say this thing carries, what's the typical weapon of an Azer? Let's look that up. Because I think it's a Warhammer. This thing would not carry a Warhammer, but I would think that it would carry something, a Warhammer, and it ignites flammables. Maybe an Arcanist was maybe a flaming staff. Wow, Azer get 2 flaming Warhammer attacks every round at +3. That's pretty tough. All right, so this thing's going to be more of a distance caster. Let's go with, I'm just going to give him a staff. We're going to make that +3, and it'll be 1d, we're going to give it 1d8 staff flaming. So it's +3 to hit, but it does 1d8 of damage. There's the blinding flash, the fire blast. So I would like to give him at least 1 more ability, or maybe 2 more. Let's look up, I'm going to do a search for fire and see what comes up. So another thing that we want to give this thing as its weakness. So it's impervious to fire, but we're going to call this weakness, and we're going to say from cold. I'd like to move this up under there. So it's impervious to fire, but it takes ×2 damage from cold. It has a fire blast. It has a flaming staff. I'd like to have 1 more ability, I think. It is level 7. All right. So I'm going to give it a flame aura. So it's more kind of like a burning hands, but it is constantly going within close DC. We're going to say DC 12 dex or take 2d6 damage. All right, so this thing, it's immune to fire, it's weak to cold, it has a flame aura. If any creatures come within close range, DC 12 dex, or they take 2d6 damage, the creature can actually shoot a fire blast out to far range for 2d6 damage, and it has a flaming staff. Armor class 11, yep, that seems about right. All right, so let's call this, it is called the Azer Pyromancer, and we'll find somewhere to put that in our setting, but I like where this is. It is a more powerful version of a Pyromancer, and an Azer, most likely what we'll do is we will have a location in our setting that have to do with the Azer, and the Pyromancer will be probably the elite Azer that might be at that location. All right, I think that is it. Thank you, everyone, and I hope to see you again soon.